But now imagine if you did have like 10K overnight. You're just going to be like, oh, I got 10K. Yeah. Easy.
Chilling.
No big deal. But then like you're not now motivated for more because it's not like you worked hard. Like it's not like you really put in all that effort. Like you just, oh, I got it. And but like what then comes from it?
What's up, everybody?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of
Coffee Breakup.
Yes. So thank you so much for sticking around one more week.
Another week, another guest.
Another week, another guest. So before we begin, please remember to like the video down below. I'm going to wait until you do. Thank you very much. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Ring the notification bell.
Smash that button.
Smash that button. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and
Twitter.
We're on the social media platforms. You link in bio, Spotify. You figure it out. Go to our website, thecoffeebreakup.com. We're all there for all the good content. And you can buy a shirt or two, maybe even a mug, whatever you want.
Yeah.
That being said, new episode, new guest.
Alba, how are you?
Remedy the Soul.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Yeah, so we met you at the men's mental health event that Gus, was a previous guest of ours that he had thrown. And, you were very insightful with your background of pretty much I don't want to say your expertise. It is your expertise. It's very different. The way that you're very connected to like different energies. And when you were speaking, there was a point in time that I was looking over at Marvin and I'm like, are you relaxed right now? We were closing our eyes and we were just like, whoa. But what are we even talking about? That's where we pass the floor to you. Please introduce yourself and let the people know who you are.
Who you are, exactly.
Thank you so much, guys, for having me. I am an energy healer by passion. That's my thing.
Okay.
I have studied yoga. I've studied meditation. I've studied Reiki healing. I've studied many things, and I've had plenty of experiences on my healing journey that I love to share with others. That's my passion. My background is law. I went to law school and I graduated as a lawyer in practice in my country, Venezuela.
Okay.
And I have a practice as a real estate agent, which is completely unrelated.
A little bit of everything.
Sure.
I wear many hats.
Yeah.
But definitely I feel that healing and energy work and mental health is something that is very important in my life. It's one of my main focuses, and I'd love to share that with others. So I was very, very pleased to be at that event, and it was very empowering to speak in front of 60 men.
Yeah.
I was like,
are you comfortable like speaking like that publicly with people?
Well, I am. Like,
okay.
I love to share it. I think it's one thing to share about a specific subject, and another thing is to share about myself.
Right.
There's a thin line there definitely where vulnerability comes in, and
100%.
Sharing about who I am, not only what I do. I think that's it's just different. But yeah, I'm comfortable speaking. I love to to convey a message, and if that can be of help to anybody, then I feel that I'm serving.
Beautiful.
How did you transition from law, which is essentially very black and white and very structured, to a subject such as healing, where there is really no straight line to it?
But before that, talk about what is healing. So what do you do? What's your thing?
What's my thing?
Well,
yeah.
No. Because I was gonna say, like in terms of healing, is it spiritual healing? Is it physical? Then that would have been my lead question following that. Like, what type of healing? To piggyback off of what he said.
Well, I believe in holistic healing. I believe in the human being as a holistic system. That it's not, our mind is not separate from our body. Our body is not separate from our emotions, and our emotions are not separate from our spirit.
It's all connected.
So it's all connected, yes. So for me, healing comes to understanding what is the goal in life, right? So for me, the goal and what I've studied and what I am after is happiness. So It's very simple, but how to, have a pleasing life, how to enjoy life, and how to live life in a way that you find satisfaction in the simple things. So that for me is healing, to see the whole picture and to integrate as a human being.
I love that, especially living like in a Western country where we're so occupied with working and consuming and goods and services, it's easy to forget sometimes the basics of why are we here? What is the
like
true
the
sense of happiness?
simplicity,
Finding happiness in like the little things. Sometimes I think it gets a little bit blurry, busy throughout the day and everything that life throws at you.
So you can help like someone kind of
Find their way back,
refocus their energy back to that. Is that?
Well, what I do mainly is listen. I feel that when you listen to somebody and you validate where they at, I think that is very healing on its own. So by listening and to understanding their perspective, I can see where like the lie is. Because if you're suffering, it's because you're basing your thought process on a lie. So if you are thinking of truth, if you are thinking in alignment with your essence, then you will be happy as a byproduct. So my job is to, or not call it a job, but yeah, let's call it a job.
Your mission.
My mission. Yes. My mission is to connect the person back to themselves, to their essence, to their true essence, not what society has made us believe that we're here to do, right? Like, to show up for my family, to fulfill my whatever my partner's expectations, or to
Any societal expectation.
that is all made up.
I agree.
That's all made up.
I've been really big on this because like all this is kind of made up if you think about it.
we do what like our parents did, and our parents are doing what their parents did, and then like the hundreds of
Exactly.
years will just go based off of what somebody else did.
I was reading an article yesterday and there was like 30 things that we need to we need to stop letting it be taboo, and like one of them it's very silly, but it was like I remember one of them, it's like gender specific toys. Like the fact that we've lived so long saying, well, no, because it's pink, because it's a doll, because it's this, it's only for girls. If a boy wants to play with it, I mean, sure, societal, it's like, hey, like they shouldn't because whatever, but why can't they if they just want to play with the freaking toy? True. You know what I mean? So it sounds weird to maybe someone who's listening to like, no, but that's meant for girls. What makes it meant for, like, it's all made up, it's all made up.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, like we're just floating around in the universe on a planet, and we're following what everybody
All
else
these
says.
made up rules.
On
Like
this
you go to
rock.
school, you go to college, you take out thousands of dollars of loan and get a degree, then work 40 years, 50 weeks a year. You get 2 weeks off a year, and you just follow these kind of guidelines.
Becomes the norm, and that's just like,
And then you do it. and
we've
then-
accepted it.
Yeah. And it's like, why? And that's kind of an interesting perspective to have. Like, why are we doing this? Let's take a step back and refocus on what do we want to do?
But it's difficult because we get lost in it, because when the rest of society adopts it as normality, now it feels like, okay, well then this is how it should be done. This is what we're supposed to be doing. Men aren't supposed to speak up. I'm sorry, we're going on a rant right now. But the video that we posted about the man opening up about your feelings,
Yeah.
vulnerability, we had so many comments of men being like, no, last time I did that, my girl left me, or no, I'm not gonna do that. But they were just fighting the idea.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? Like, who told you that it's not okay to be yourself?
Well, somebody told them. Somebody told
Right.
them. Somebody did, but it's like now you're set your entire expectation in life on the one or two opinions that somebody gave you, that maybe your dad or your mom or an ex-girlfriend that maybe things didn't work out. They told you, oh, it's not attractive when you're being vulnerable. And now how petty, how sad is it that you change your whole perspective off of your opinion of one person?
Yeah, like
It's
we're not
crazy
allowed to
me.
feel because it's wrong.
person said
Because
so.
men aren't. So,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'll back to you. So
We could go on and on and on.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
But yeah, so I guess the premises of it all is what makes you happy, right? And like
what makes you you? Like, what is it about you that makes you yourself?
right.
Well, I just want to pick up on everything that you just
I'm
said.
sorry. Yeah, we got
and
into
on.
it. Yeah, I'm sorry.
because I love it.
Yeah, good.
So when it comes to gender expectations, I do feel that even at the moment a baby is born, they're just treated differently just because of the gender, right? So that already sets so many belief systems in place that stand in the way of people choosing themselves.
I
So-
agree.
When we grow up and we start experiencing, we're not satisfied with our life. We're like, I'm going to work. Have I don't know how many weeks working 9 to 5. You know, your soul, you start disconnecting from your soul. You start disconnecting from your purpose. And what happens? Then you get sad. And then you don't tend to that sadness. You don't listen to yourself. And then you slowly start getting depressed. So, or anxious or whatever happened.
I literally just said that when you were outside.
We were talking about that. I was thinking about that because, no, I'm sorry. I don't want to.
No, please. This is fluid.
Yeah, because I think what happens is you get into this routine and it's like, oh, you know, it's just another day, and then it's another day,
and it becomes part of your routine where it becomes normal. Like, oh, okay, it's the routine.
Yeah, I've done it for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and then you just kind of like it just molds you into this person, and then you start resenting yourself, and then 10 years pass, and you're like, man, I wish I would have done this, and then you let it out on friends and family, and it's like, it's so disappointing, you know, when you go through life doing something that you don't really have a passion for. You only have one life.
And no, but it's so much of how it disconnects you from what your purpose is, because now it's like you're reprogramming your mind to build this new identity that's not even you, that you
forget who you are.
Yeah, because now you're not who you were intended to be. You're now part of the routine that you built. Like now you are your new routine.
You're part of the society.
You're performing.
You're part of the working class.
I was been here for like freaking less than 15 minutes. I'm like, want more information? Keep going on.
Yeah.
Yes, I lost a little bit track.
Well, okay. The last thing you said was, society, like even babies, like they're already kind of put into a position where they have to.
Yeah, but I think it's called the journey of the hero. Okay. You know, at some point you gotta find that you're not that person. You're not who you were taught. You know, and it's perfect. Everybody gets exactly what they need. So if you got, you know, whatever relationship you had with your parents or the lack of parents or whatever you experienced abused or you experienced this, that was exactly what some people are going to listen and they're going to say like, wait a second, but a kid doesn't need to be abused. No, that it should never happen.
Yeah.
But because we're in a path of evolution, because we're in a path of learning, we sometimes learn through contrast and we learn what we want by understanding what we don't want. And we understand what truth is by experiencing a lie. So it has a purpose.
What time? We're 13 minutes in. Let's make that a snippet.
I 100% agree. I mean, it's you go through life and then there's choices to be made. Choices. Right? Everybody.
But sometimes those choices that you're not even given the opportunity to make the decision because it's already made for you.
But then after that is a choice how you respond to that circumstance.
True, but I think it's also systemically because if a child is being raised in an environment, what choice do they have? They don't really know. They don't know the difference.
But then when they become of age, they can say, am I going to follow what my parents did? Abusive relationships and toxic and unhealthy and addictions, or I'm going to break that cycle. Exactly. And that, even though it's harder to make that decision at that point because you've already been programmed by your upbringing. At the end of the day,
difficult,
it's difficult, but it's not impossible.
And also, it might not be your responsibility what happened to you, but it is your responsibility to heal from that. Right. So what you do with what happened, that's up to you. So it happens to, for example, when we're kids. So when a kid is, for example, abused, you know, it can be the idea that the parents are unfit, or the kid makes it about themselves. That's what happens. The kid said, oh, I'm not worthy of having my needs met. So they grow up with that belief.
That it's acceptable to be abused?
Yes. So then they grow up with that belief that they're not worthy of having their needs met. So they repeat that cycle over and over again in different relationships, what we call toxic relationships. Mm. But it's just patterns that are not being healed because they have not been looked at. So once, you're of age, you're 18, 19, 20. Some people have this when they get to their midlife crisis and they're like, oh my God,
how did I get here?
I'm 50 and I have not done this, and that. And my skin's starting to get saggy. So not at 50, but you know what I mean? Like they're like, okay, you know what? Let's get to what I want, you know? So that's when we kind of rescue that part of ourselves. So my intention with the work that I do is to get people to that before they're 50. Yes. You know, like as soon as you start having like not call it problems, but because they're not problems, they are processes, right? So when you think about a problem, oh, I gotta fix that. There's nothing to fix.
Because there's nothing broken, right?
There's nothing broken. There's nothing good or bad. Those are just concepts that we have, more ideas and more beliefs that we have thrown into the pot. Like, this is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad. If you marry before 30, that's good. If you're that's bad. If you that's good, that's bad. No, it's all about flowing with the process and understanding that the purpose behind everything in life is a purpose of love. So we are here because of love, and we're here to learn and to evolve. I hope that makes sense.
No, absolutely. I just wish like it was more adopted. Somebody sent me something that it's like, oh, if you want to be with someone who always pays for the date, then find that person. Don't let somebody else tell you no. Like us, or we're like, no, other stuff. Like there's 7 billion people in this world. You say it all the time. Yeah. Like we have our own different beliefs for whatever. Maybe it's like we should just align ourselves with those same people with beliefs, because of our upbringing. Now it's a lot simpler if we can all just say, we're on this rock. Like, let's just, let's connect. Like we're people just trying to live, but because we have these upbringings, now it's more so, well, instead of now trying to be in toxic relationships to like fight someone because of whatever you haven't healed, it takes a process for you to just align yourself with the right people who at least have the similar, visions or morals as you.
For that, you need to align with yourself first. So
completely
how
agree.
can you align?
Completely
if
agree.
you don't know what your values are, if you don't know what you stand for, how are you going to align with somebody? You're
Right.
going to throw anything. You're going to be like, I'll take it.
Yeah.
No.
You're spitting facts right now. You're spitting facts.
What?
No, you're 100% correct. I love you dropping.
You were going to say
knowledge.
something.
No, I was going to say something, but no, I've just forgot. But just to piggyback off of what you were saying, you have to know, again, people don't realize what they're willing to sacrifice or what they're willing to take on or what they're comfortable with, your values, your beliefs. You have to stand firm by that. But at the same time, I think it's also important to be open to have discussions. We've talked about it. If just because your parents said you have to be married and this and this and this, have your own ideas, have your own thoughts. Exactly. So I think there's a fine line between, okay, like are you willing to die on this hill because that's just kind of what you've been brought up to do, or does this really mean something to you where this is what you want to do? And if that's the case, then obviously that's fine. But I think it's important to be open to have discussions, which is essentially what we're trying to do.
Yeah, it's difficult when you have like outside influences that are so important to you, like kind of guiding you in a way because they want to look out for you. But based on what their upbringing is, but that has nothing to do with what your upbringing should be.
And where you are now in life.
Exactly, or how we're developing or what's going on. It's not the same as it was a few years ago where we did have to mold a certain way. So for example, men, they needed to toughen up because we needed workers back then. We needed this, the economy to go up. And we had those opportunities. But now it's more of like, well, there's so many other things that are kind of thrown at us where we're able to now understand, like, you know what, maybe we should talk about mental health, for example, which was like, oh no, we can't, men are weak if they do. We're in a position that now with evolution, like it's acceptable now to really put ourselves in a position to have those conversations. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're spot on.
100%. I want to touch back on what you said about our upbringing. So a lot of what goes on also is the fact of boundaries. So a lot of people grow up with parents that have poor boundaries, so as kids we kind of take on that attachment style and that lack of boundaries or those porous boundaries, and we go on in life trying to please people, not really knowing who we are. So I think it all goes back and ties back to knowing yourself and to do the work, not to project your needs on somebody else, but really fulfilling your needs yourself first. So we can go from codependent to independent to interdependent, because when you heal, then you can relate from a different place. You're not expecting the other person to show up for you in ways that you're not showing up for yourself.
I think, what you were saying, first step, what are your boundaries? And then, are you comfortable with that? Is that okay? Is that who you are? Is that what you want to believe? And then second step, if you're planning on meeting somebody, what are their boundaries? Are you okay with their boundaries? And then instead of trying to challenge people and not even challenge them, but try to change people and pushing their boundaries, when first step is, are those boundaries okay with you? If they are, why would you want to try to step over them? Because then that's not clearly not the person for you. If you want to be with somebody who does this, and then they're not that person from the get-go, why are you when you're trying to change somebody? That is a problem that I have. And it goes to boundaries. It's just kind of what you were saying.
And also, I think it's important to be authentic, you know, to show up and say things clear. I think what has happened in the dating scene a lot, I mean, I'm talking for what I've experienced in the past, is a lot of playing games. You know, like people be like, "Oh, I'm not gonna say what I really want because if I do, then they'll think this or that, or
they're not gonna like me. They're not gonna want to go on date number 2.
I'm not gonna, you know, share my non-negotiables because they might not meet them, so I might not see them again. So why you want to see them again if they don't meet your non-negotiables?
We've
It's
talked
so
about
simple. I don't understand why people are, oh no, because then they're gonna leave me. Like the whole mental health stuff. When people were like, "No, you don't do that because that's how I lost my girlfriend." Or that my ex broke up with me because
And you
of
were
that.
not meant to be with.
I'm like, good. They did they did you a favor. Like the fact that you
Exactly.
can't even be yourself and you can't open up and you feel like you need to force yourself to be this strong, unemotional person. I can't talk about my feelings. And now that completely reprograms who you are. Like think of in your head, now I can't even talk about what I really want to talk about because I'm forced to be someone else. And you're gonna be with someone who supports that. You would want them to be able to support you wanting to open up and talk about your feelings. Like, I want to know what you're going through, but I can if you're going to try to be macho man and not open up about it. It drives me crazy.
I think it starts with like having self-love, knowing your purpose, knowing who you are. Because if I know who I am and I know what I can bring to the table and I'm proud of the values that I represent, I'm not going to be afraid to show them on the first date or on the second date or whenever, because that's who I am and I'll stand by who I am. And when you are that person, somebody turning you down for date number 2 or number 3, that's going to be your loss. Or maybe not even their loss. Hey, we're just not compatible. And that's okay.
The earlier, the better.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Say no to the wrong person faster.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, you're not the person. Thank you. I'm not wasting my time with you. On to the next date.
To the next
you know?
one, yeah.
And it's not like, oh, I mean, not me at least, but I don't feel that dating should be like, oh, I'm looking for somebody, you know?
said it all the
I
time.
think it's
But this
like,
guy says it too.
it's like,
We'll say it.
What was it?
Hey.
yeah.
We're going to put the Alex. Yeah, man, I'm sorry. We didn't mean to cut you off, but I think dating should be approached as it's just people getting to know each other, and it's just no expectations, no fears, and just two people having a dialogue, having a discussion, connecting.
Meet people.
And if that's all it's meant to be, one date or not even a date, just two people having a conversation, and I'll never see you again. Hey, man, it'll be a great conversation to have, and then life goes on.
That's true. Like think about it. Like let's say we never invited you on, right? I would have still told Marvin, you remember Alba and that time at the event?
We're like
that's
floating,
impactful.
Yeah.
And but it doesn't mean that anything more can come, anything less can come. But the fact that we still shared that, and that's because we met, right? That's all we did. And there's so many other opportunities. Like let's say if you, like you said, you go on a date with someone, hey, it's not working out, we're not compatible. But there's still probably opportunity for a good friendship. There's opportunity for for networking, connect. Like you never know what someone can do. There's so many things out there, so many resources that we need that we don't have access to, but maybe somebody else does. And that all comes with building that network and just meeting people.
I think friendship is the key word. I believe that friendship is the base of love. I believe friendship and commitment. So if you can't be friends with somebody, when the honeymoon phase is over, guess what? It's gonna stink.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be like, who are you again?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Can't even stand you. I don't like you and I can't stand you.
exactly.
Good night.
So, exactly. Like, can you go in the room next door?
Yeah.
So I do come from that space of like building a friendship.
Yeah.
You know, like, do we have similar values? Does my vision align with your vision? Right? Are we going towards the same direction? Because I'm personally, since I found myself, thank God, and I really connected with the love that I have for my life, for my friendships, for my body, for what I put in my body, around my body, for my house, my travel, everything in my life I am in love with. So it's like, are you adding to that? And if that is the case, then let's be friends, you know? That, like, I mean, that's like a filter like no other. You know, like you go on a date and you're like, let's be friends. And they're like, oh, so What does that mean?
Yeah, it feels weird. But sometimes it's like, we're just not. That's it.
No, and even if there is chemistry, I believe like if you have chemistry with somebody and you build a friendship, I don't know. I think the momentum built up and you really start getting to know each other.
I think it helps the foundation to then build on something.
Exactly.
Which a lot of people, they just jump into things and then they start building and then they realize that the floor is collapsing underneath, but they're focusing on the walls of their relationship. And it's like, you don't even have the bottom part to keep you guys afloat together.
Yeah, the
You guys
ground.
right. Like that's not even established. How are you even going to plan on moving forward without even having the basis of good chemistry? And you're looking at me in the eyes and stuff.
No, yeah.
You want to tell me something? Alba, can you leave the what are you going to say?
No, I think it could be hard when you have chemistry with somebody and there's attraction. It's hard to say, let's be friends first. Don't you think? Like
Well,
when
I
you're
don't
in
think-
that, don't you say?
No, but I don't think she
I
was.
think it's sexy.
Yeah, but well, I was taking in the sense of having the friendship because, for example, I can be friends with, like, I have several friends. Sure. I have more chemistry on certain on different levels than I would with some of my other friends that we just hang out and do other stuff.
Sure.
So I think having that, or even with women, like some you have attraction, but you feel a different sort of friendship with that chemistry that you have. That's how I'm kind of taking it.
Okay, that's true.
Right?
Good point.
Yeah, because it's not like I'm gonna bang.
No, but
everyone that
when you're saying, let's say you
I have chemistry with.
let's say you meet somebody.
Exactly. Come on.
Let's say you meet somebody and then
Exactly.
there's chemistry and it's like, you're both single, you're both good looking, you both, whatever. It's hard to kind of start off like, hey, let's just be friends first. That's what I kind of think.
True, but at least there's something more to lead you into it.
Yes.
Because it's not like, oh, you're hot, but we don't have chemistry. But because you're hot, now we're gonna.
Yeah.
Like there has to be something
has to
that
be
leads
something
you
of
into
substance.
that direction.
Yeah,
Well,
you're right.
I do think that people sell out short because of connection. So connection is one thing, but commitment is another thing. So you can have connection. Like I can go in the hallway and look at somebody and be like, ooh, who's that one? Does that mean that I'm going to go after them? No. Just no. Why? Because I understand energy and I know that chemistry is probably coming from a lesson that I need to learn from that person. So I'm personally like backing off
Really?
from hard lessons. I'm like, oh, you have a hard one? I'm like, no,
But how would you know?
Yeah.
How would you know?
You're just so aware.
Listen, there's something so interesting about connection, right? So you can have a connection with somebody, but are they committed to being in a relationship with you, even if it's a friendship? So if you can't even offer me a friendship, how are you going to offer me anything else? Like if you can't even show up as a friend and be there for me, like when I need a friend,
That's more attractive to you.
of course.
Like
I
that's-
don't want a flimsy, like
Well,
a hot,
obviously it is attractive.
like a hot and cold, or like, oh my God, so much fire. Let's just burn out together. I'm like, let's take it easy. I know I'm fire. You look like you're fire too. So let's not burn this building down.
A lot of fire.
Yeah, because well, you're saying like, oh, you're hot, whatever, attraction stuff. But she's like, yeah, but I need more for me to get that connection to move forward.
Not only that, but like for me to go into that intimate space with somebody, I feel I need the feeling of trust.
There you go. You see?
So that's
a little deeper, yeah.
That comes with friendship. That comes with commitment. It doesn't mean like
comes with time.
I was thinking the same
exactly.
thing.
That's commitment. People think, oh my God, commitment. They're thinking about somebody getting on their knee and pulling a ring. We're not
not
talking
what it is.
about that type of
It's
commitment.
made up too.
Made up. What is commitment?
bogus.
I care about
It's made up.
you. I care about you as a person. I see you. I see your soul. I understand your needs because I'm listening and I want to show up for you.
Yeah, I'm willing to work towards it. I want to be a part of it.
I want to
I'm-
learn to love you. That doesn't come with, oh my God, I saw you in the hallway. You're so hot.
Here's a ring.
3,
I
4
love you
days.
forever.
Oh, that's love bombing. That's even worse.
Yeah, right?
I like that. What do you say to people? Because there's some guys who say, you know what, I can't be friends with the opposite sex if there's attraction. Have you ever been in that situation where you met somebody and you wanted to establish that friendship first, but they were like, hey, listen, I'm not really friends with girls because, I don't believe in that. Because there's also an aspect of, for some men who say, hey, listen, I can't be friends with women.
Can or cannot?
Cannot.
Well, I have plenty of male friends. Some of those had the hots for me early in the beginning, and then like
You put them in a friend zone, and
I
that was
put in the
it.
friends, and they remained as friends, and they're
Okay.
great friends. Some of them never got over it, and I was like, listen, we can't be friends if you don't take the space of a friend. You know, like you're not gonna go from level 1 to level 5 just because you really want it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Right.
So I don't know. I value friendship.
Okay.
I value friendship more than anything because you know, passion wears out.
Yeah.
So what's afterwards?
I think friendship on a deeper level is just it's a lot more consistent, genuine friendship,
Yeah.
rather than you know, affection and that lust that you have for some people that usually at the beginning it just flimses out over time, rather than when you have a true connection, a true bond with somebody on a deeper level, that stays.
Alba, how did you become so woke? How are you so like? No, I'm saying, how are you so like? So what happened? So one of the first question you asked, but look, we're 30 minutes in. Now is the perfect time. How did you transition from this law that was, you know, that to this? And what happened?
Where you are
what
now.
did you go through? What did you identify? And yeah, how'd you get here?
Right, we're ready.
Bully McGuire.
Well, I was born and I was raised and I grew up in a lot of ignorance. Like my family, my country, my surroundings, straight up ignorance. You know, it was like a lot of beliefs that, oh my God, so outdated. And I took all of them on. And I really wanted to please everybody. I really wanted to please my family, my teachers. I wanted to be what they wanted me to be. So then I rebelled against it and I became everything that they didn't want me to be. So I've had quite a journey on that. So I've always been a fighter, you know, because I feel that when there's when passion is not properly channeled, it can become an anger. You know, when you're passionate about something, but you can act on it, it can build up and it can be experienced as anger. So for that, we'll call it anger, resentment, and wanting to make things straight. I really wanted to like make things right, you know, because I felt that the way I was being treated growing up was not fair. So I was like, why do I have this feeling that justice is on the other side of everything that I'm going through? So I really, because I was interested in diplomacy and like, you know, making amends and understanding my rights and where, you know, talking about boundaries, where my rights end and where other people's rights begin. I was interested on that from a very young age. I decided to go to law school. So I did so in a country that was, you know, democracy was collapsing and we're talking about civility and civil rights and there's like gunshots in the back, like, you know, like pa, pa, pa. Like, okay, so this is it's dissonant, you know? And I started getting into relationships that were extremely toxic, abusive, aggressive, like, and I was at it, you know, I was like, oh, you're gonna throw that? I'm gonna throw this.
Yeah,
oh, you're gonna scream? Guess what? I can scream too.
I can scream louder.
Let me scream.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, oh my God, qué pena. Qué pena con esa gente.
Oh my God, how funny.
So, well, I got to the tipping point, you know, I got to this point of like, I was in this relationship where I literally felt I was gonna die. You know, I was like, one of these days,
It's gonna happen.
This argument's gonna escalate and I'm just not gonna tell the story, you know. I was taking prescription drugs like if they were, I don't know, TikToks and, you know, smoking and speeding and that, like, just a lot, like partying, alcohol. I was just like,
Numbing.
oh my God, I was so intoxicated. So that's where I feel that's when it happened. I feel I was almost rescued, you know, by a higher power. That's when I didn't even believe in God.
Right.
I was like, God, what are you talking about God when there's like kids dying of cancer? And I was like, there's no God. You know, it's just in this place of like, no respect for life whatsoever. And when I got to that point and I couldn't see the light, then a miracle happened and I understood. It came through yoga, it came through meditation.
Right.
I was able to leave this relationship and tell the story. I was able to rebuild my life, and it started little by little. It's been 4 years, but it's been worth every second. And now I value my peace more than anything else. So for me, that's my ground level. You know, if somebody threatens that peace, I'm like, you gotta go. You know, like my life, this is my canvas of my life, my art, you know, my movie, and I paint it however I want to paint it. And trust me, it's a very, very, very happy, very joyful, very pleasing experience in my creation. So whatever doesn't align with that, I'm like, wait a second, what you doing here? So it's been a long healing journey. I'm not fully healed. I don't think anybody is fully healed. You know, healing is a process. Nothing happens in the past or in the future.
Not a problem, it's a process.
Exactly. And we're always healing, you know, because everything happens on the present moment. So as long as in the present moment, we're constantly doing it. So for me, it's showing up for myself, choosing myself, and not abandoning myself for others or to belong. And just being clear, being straight up with who am I, where I'm at, what I want, what I don't want, setting clear boundaries, and time after time choosing me. So I've been sober from alcohol for 1.5 years.
Congrats. That's amazing.
Yes, that was
I drank last night. So
Yeah.
I'm a piece of shit.
No, it's okay. For me, it's because I felt that when getting back in the dating scene after that breakup, aka divorce,
Dropping bombs.
Yeah.
I was definitely abusing alcohol to and it was clouding my judgment. You know, I was like, ooh, let's just have a little bit too much fun because I don't want to deal with what's like
Distracting.
Yeah, distracting, but also using it to connect, you know, to be like, to say some things that I wouldn't say if I was sober, to do things that I wouldn't do if I was sober, you know?
To justify almost.
Yeah, but then I was like, all these regrets followed, and I was like, you know what? I'm not only I'm on a spiritual journey, and this is completely out of alignment. Like it's not in integrity, but I'm done with regrets. So alcohol is out the door. Prescription drugs got out the door 4 years ago. In this process of like purifying myself and getting clear and clean and, you know, sound of mind and focusing on my life, creating a life that I love, that's my passion. So if somebody comes along like, listen, my plate is kind of full. Unless you're bringing like more pleasure, more joy, and you're like, and you actually want to be there, then we can have a conversation. But if not, like, honestly, if they don't like have like meet those not gonna say requirements, but if standards. Let's call it standards. Because I don't expect anything from anybody. I have my personal standard.
Sure.
My standard is
like
this
that.
one, you know?
Yeah.
So if they don't meet those standards, honestly, because I don't pay attention, they kind of like, they drift away. Right. They're like, oh, I can get in her pants right now. So they're like, okay, fine, bye. So I'm like, okay, thank you, bye.
Right.
You know?
Better for you.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of wasting your time on people that really don't bring any value to your life. And I think you're at an amazing point in your life because things are aligned for you in a way where you know what you want, what you don't want, what you will tolerate, what you won't.